Right, guys, the question was asked today. The question was asked, when am I going to start feeling better at my jujitsu? When am I going to start feeling like I don't suck at jujitsu? I didn't ask that. A two-stripe white belt asked that after class today. If you guys don't know, I'm a purple belt who practices jiu-jitsu. I've been practicing jiu-jitsu for a little while now. Not to say that that's anything to, brag about. I still feel like a student myself. I still feel like I have much to learn. And I'm still trying to perfect my game as it is. But of course, like many, we've all asked that question. And so my ears perked up when this student asked my professor, because I know I asked basically the same question at some point in my white belt stage of my jiu-jitsu journey as well. And he answered the same way that he answered me. I think I was looking for him, or was hoping that my professor would tell him something more interesting, something that he didn't tell me that I was going to be able to like put in my back pocket and walk away with and like apply to my jiu-jitsu. But he didn't. He didn't. He said the same thing he said to many of us in the past, and that is, you're going to feel better with time. You're going to feel better the more and more you come in and get your butt kicked, right? Like, and that's like the short way of saying what he said. He was much nicer and more thoughtful in the way that he said it, but that's the truth, right? Like anything, unless you've actually had prior experience that might be transferable to this new skill that you're trying to learn, that is jiu-jitsu or martial arts, like wrestling or judo or something like that, that might be somewhat comparable or similar. Like, you're going to feel like a fish out of water. You're going to feel very uncomfortable, especially with jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is very different than a lot of other martial arts. Now, I'm not trying to throw shade or anything like that, but it's a very physical. Like, from the minute you get going to forever until you stop practicing, it is like flies on every single day that you go in and roll. Like, every single day somebody's stuck on you or trying to get stuck on you and strangle the life out of you, or bend an arm or a leg or something on your body in a way that you don't want it to bend. And so it's very stressful. It's not like karate. It's not like taekwondo. And to, like a little reference, I did practice karate when I was younger. I got all the way up to my 4th degree in my brown belt. And so I have a little bit of context and a little bit of experience with other martial arts. And I'm not knocking it. Like, I'm not knocking it. They all take certain things away from each discipline, right? I loved karate. As a matter of fact, I would love to pick it up if we had more. I would love to do judo. I would love to do karate again. I would love to do all this stuff. Here in Middle Tennessee, where I live, we don't actually have like dedicated schools like some other places have. I was born and raised in Hawaii. Hawaii had like all kinds of kempo. They had aikido. They had all kinds of martial arts there. All kinds of martial arts. And so like I was really spoiled growing up. I wish I did jiu-jitsu, but it wasn't as popular back then. I'm in my mid-40s now. As it is now. So, hey, hindsight is 2020, and I don't try to look back all too much because you can get into a world of regret. And anyway, that's not productive. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole with that. To get back on track and back to the topic, unless you have any similar experience at grappling, maybe wrestling or something like that in your younger years, you're going to feel like a fish out of water, right? Like, it's going to be very uncomfortable. And the best thing that you can do is just accept that you're a sponge taking it all in, like literally taking not just the knowledge, but like the pressure, the suck, the sweat, the uncomfortable feelings and all that stuff. You're just, that's all your job is as a white belt, is just to soak up as much as you can and try to retain as much as you can and make sense of it as you're rolling through it, right? Because the theories, the concepts, the basic fundamental practices and techniques of jiu-jitsu are one thing to discuss, right? To have your teacher kind of talk to you while you're standing in line or crowded in a circle, however you do it in your school, whatever. But to apply it under pressure and while another person is moving and or resisting is a whole nother thing, right? Like the application versus the theory, the instructionals and stuff like that. Way different, way different. So there's going to be months and months and months that you spend trying to perfect one thing, maybe. I know I did. I remember, I didn't realize this, but I remember like 6 months into my white belt journey, somebody was like, just try to be as annoying as you possibly can be. and keep, like, I was in closed guard. I was on bottom. They were in my closed guard, I should say. And like, I just felt like, man, I was not doing anything right? Like, I was like, man, I can't hit these triangles. I can't get these sweeps. I can't, like, real fundamental scissor sweeps, flower sweeps, cross collar chokes and stuff like that. I was like, what am I doing? And then an upper belt, I think he was a purple belt at the time. He's a brown belt now. He said, stop trying to, like, beat yourself up. Stop trying to hold this very heavy expectation of perfection over yourself into learning all the techniques, because there's so many of them, and then being a master at all these techniques, because you've only been taught that like a handful of times at best. If you come into class on 1 week, we'll stick for 1 week, and this is most schools, right? 1 week we're going to be drilling one position or maybe variations of that one position, and that's it, right? And then you're going to go through this whole slew of other things throughout the months, and then you might come back to that another 6 months from now. So like realistically, you've learned learned a thing maybe like twice in 6 months. Is that good enough for you to like actually retain and apply? Probably not, right? That's why you have these teachings or these ways of teachings that these schools do it to where they expose you to these techniques over time, right? And to try to chain them together. I'm going down another rabbit hole, but like, you guys get what I'm saying. You got to kind of lower your expectations that you put on yourself and stop beating yourself up. Just pick one or two things and try to get good at that. So I remember 6 months into my white belt, that person told me that, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to worry all too much about, do I sweep this person, if they're going to choke me out and stuff like that. I'm going to just see how long I can hold these upper belts in my guard and not let them out. I'm going to see how annoying I could be. And then when I did that, I started recognizing like what they would do when I did a certain thing, right? Like if I grab this and I grab this grip, what do they normally do? Most of them do this. And if I grab this lapel and I grab this grip on his leg, what happens? Well, they do this most of the time. And then I have to figure out, based on their response, how I like to respond. How am I comfortable at responding? Yes, I want to throw in the techniques that my professor and my coaches are showing me, but I got to apply them in my own way, right? A 45-year-old old man like myself, I'm not sprawling as quick. I'm not getting up as fast. My conditioning sucks compared to these 20-year-olds and stuff like that. Like, it's not an excuse, but it's my jiu-jitsu is different. It's similar than other people's jiu-jitsu, but it's different. And once I started realizing that, right? Once I started realizing that I'm going to have to enjoy the suck. I'm going to have to enjoy the journey. I'm going to have to realize that this is a long haul, right? To get good at this is going to be a long haul. And mind you, I will say this, even though a lot of people have already said this, jiu-jitsu is not short. It's like one of the hardest practices to get a black belt. It's going to take you like 10 years at best. For most people, it's like 15 for the average person to get a black belt, because there's going to be injuries, setbacks, things that call you away from your jiu-jitsu. And it's really hard to stay consistently coming to jiu-jitsu and progressing, for that matter, with your jiu-jitsu 4 to 5 times a week. Like a lot of people do when they first start off. They're like 3, 4, 5 times. Like they're inspired, they're motivated. Get to your purple belt. Start realizing that the journey and those stripes don't come very quickly, right? Start realizing that the journey starts like becoming molasses. Everything slows down real fast. White belt, you're just like, oh, boom, 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 boom. I'm like a sponge. Like I said, I'm soaking it all in. Everything's cool. I'm like getting good at these 1 or 2 things, and everything seems like I'm just blossoming. Then blue belt comes, and you're like, okay, I'm figuring out what I'm kind of good at, what I like to do. Now I got to get good at those things. And then purple belt comes in. It's like, I kind of figured out my game. Now, how do I apply that game and dominate with those 3 or 4 things from every position, right? And so anyway, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole. Excuse me if you guys can hear my sons playing video games. The question from a 2-stripe white belt was super, super valid. Everybody has it. I still have it as a purple belt. What the hell am I doing some days, right? And by the way, even though you progress in your belts, there's still going to be those prodigies, those instances where that girl gets you, that little kid gets you, that white belt gets you, and you're like, what the hell? I shouldn't be getting got. I'm a purple belt. No, it happens all the time. And you got to open yourself up to that. You have to open yourself up to that to get better at jiu-jitsu. You can't be so rigid and tense and like, oh my gosh, they're going to get me. I got to get them. It's exhausting. You're going to get hurt and it's exhausting. You're not going to have fun with jiu-jitsu. You're going to feel better with your jiu-jitsu. You're going to progress better with your jiu-jitsu. In my humble opinion, when you start actually accepting jiu-jitsu for what it is, accepting the journey and having fun with your journey. Loosen up a little bit. Loosen up a little bit and like kind of narrow things down instead of having this massive, overwhelming target of trying to perfect everything that gets thrown your way, right? Target, that was a wrong analogy. Whatever, you guys get what I'm saying. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. Again, nothing new. I know a million other people that way more qualified have said this in the past. I just kind of want to like talk about it because I thought it was a good question from a good dude. He's a good dude. 2 Sharp White Belt's a really good dude. I enjoy him a lot. But yeah, I just kind of want to talk about it and maybe remind you guys, right? Have fun with your jiu-jitsu. I'm going to try to have as much fun as I possibly can. Because if I don't, it's not fun. Jiu-jitsu is not. It takes a certain kind of special to go every single day and put yourself in that position. If you're not having you're not gonna want to do that if you're so like just obsessed with all these other small really unimportant things. Like I gotta progress. I gotta get good. I can't tap all the time. Tap. Get good at tapping. You'll get better at jiu-jitsu if you get good at tapping. Anyway. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down below. Also, if you guys would, please do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, would help a brother out. With that being said, if there's any other topics you guys would like to talk about, this is Tank Talks Life, and that's my 2 cents about it. Peace.